You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marcagiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today is going to be another podcast on mold remediation. I got my pre and post mold remediation results. I'm looking forward to sharing them with y'all today. So mold can be a potential stressor that could be affecting someone's ability to heal. It's also a big rat hole of functional medicine because every symptom potentially could be mold. So do you have mold, or do you have blood sugar? Or do you have hormonal issues or gut issues, right? What is it? How do you know? So off the bat, I found a little bit of mold here behind my stovetop. We were able to remediate it in a way that was natural, meaning we didn't create more harmful metabolites and increase allergenicity or toxicity in the house with some of the metabolites that may form with some of the more conventional killing methods. So we chose a more natural approach to address the underlying issue. So first off, how do you know mold is actually a problem? So do you have any active visible mold? That's number one. Again, that doesn't tell you the whole story. Number two, do we have any, let's just say, leaks in the house, visible water stains, visible drywall damage? Do you have very high humidity in the house where you can almost smell or sense you may have some mold in the house? Does humidity get up very high? So typically there's going to be an active leak and or a very high humidity throughout the year or certain times of the year that can cause mold growth. Those are going to be the two biggest variables outside of potentially some insulation issues that can kind of create the same kind of thing. That's going to allow mold to form. And then, of course, that can get into the household. It can get into the ventilation of the house, and that can kind of go systemic. So you have one room with an issue, and that can totally go systemic. Now, in my situation, we had a issue. I think what it was the seal with the stovetop. Water from previous owners had gone back behind the baseboard and the actual the baseboard of the stovetop and the cabinet and the drywall. So it kind of got right in between that area. Overall, we checked for moisture. Moisture readings were all coming back low. That's a good sign that it's not an active leak, because if it's an active leak or if it's been going on for a long period of time and the underlying issue hasn't been resolved, you're going to see the moisture readings coming back on the higher side. So the great thing about that is we can get a window into moisture being a problem or not if we see these moisture readings up high. Number two, we can kind of come back there and we can do some testing to quantify what's going on. So one of the big things that I did was mold plate testing to assess the levels of mold in each room. So we did one in the basement, we did one in the kitchen, we did one upstairs, and it was the kitchen area that showed the highest. Everything was at 3 or below, and the kitchen was at 15 or higher, and we want everything to be below 5. So we were good everywhere else, but we did come back with a negative reading in the kitchen on our pre-reading. And actually, Evan just popped on the Hangout. So Evan, what's going on, man? Today we're talking about mold remediation.
Oh, good. I'm glad I made it. So my appointment took less time than I thought it would. So I'm glad I could join in, man.
Excellent. I'm going to put you on my little headset here just so we get a better audio quality setup. Good. So we're just talking about some of what we found on the pre-testing, and I'm going to share screens here in a little bit. And I know you've done some pre-testing. Do you want to share some of your pre-test info?
I definitely could. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing that's good about you is that you weren't really symptomatic. See, I'm like way, 10 times more symptomatic than you. So you and we were talking off air. I was so glad that you preemptively figured out your problem before it made you sick versus me. I didn't figure out my problem until I was already sick.
Exactly. So I didn't have a big issue, but I know mold is a stressor. It's a big stressor in your stress bucket. I know for you, you didn't have many symptoms at all for a long period of time until you got in contact with a whole bunch of mold. So it's not worth chancing it, right? So that was one of the big things, is taking that stressor out of our stress bucket. Yours came back really high in the pre-testing. Let me share my screen so some people can see what my scores were. And then today's topic again will be mold remediation. It's like part 3, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, this will be a never-ending series, so hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's important because we found some really more affordable ways to address these situations, which were phenomenal, because a lot of the other ways are expensive. And number 2, they sometimes can create more harsh metabolites that can be a stressor on the body, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. These people go and, oh, yeah, we hired the mold remediation guy down the street. But the problem is the guy down the street could be using toxic chemicals. People talk about using bleach to wipe stuff down. I mean, it's just a terrible idea, and that's going to make you way sicker.
Oh, 100%. Exactly. So let me just show you my screen here. This is my first test here that we did, and you can see the basement island was at 3, which was great because I actually had a little bit of baseboards that had some mold on them in the basement. But the guy that did the mold remediation said, yeah, that's probably just from them sitting out in the lumber yard. Initially, it's probably not an active mold issue. It's just kind of stained, right? And it seemed like he was right. So that was a 3. And then the master bedroom, which was good, was a 2. And the kitchen island, you can see, was a 19. So that was really on the higher side. And some of the mold that came back, I think, was more from a water type of species. What was that species referred to for the water one?
Aspergillus and penicillium. Those are the 2 main ones. There can be others like fusarium-based mycotoxins, but it's usually Aspergillus penicillium is a water damage building.
Exactly. And then if you look at my post-testing, right, here's the dates. You can see my kitchen island is 0. So like nothing came back. And then look at the basement, 1. And then the master came back at 1. And we've done previous podcasts. So take a look at the previous ones on mold remediation. We could go more into depth on how we addressed it. But just in general, make sure the underlying cause of the leak is fully addressed. We topically hit the mold with 20% hydrogen peroxide, which is very effective. And the formula that I used was a hydrogen peroxide plus paracetic acid. So it was like a hydrogen peroxide, apple cider vinegar kind of mix. Topically hit it. We cleaned it up first in a negative pressure environment. Topically hit it with the apple cider vinegar, hydrogen peroxide 20%, not the 3%, but the 20%.
Yes.
You can burn your skin, so be very careful. And then we did a fogging, a dry fog solution of the Citrus Safe formulas, which we'll put links below, that are very, very effective. The benefits of the dry fog is it can get to a 1 to 10 micron size. So that's really, really tiny. You can literally get in between your baseboards and the floor. It's that powerful. So it gets into nooks and crannies. And the cool thing is you can leave all your clothes up and all your furniture there because you want that to topically get treated. And when you spray it, it's going to kill. But then when it sits down, it's going to lay down on your clothes and on your walls and everything. And then as any potential mold particulate settles from the air and settles down on the ground, guess what? There's now a layer there that will kill any mold that falls to the ground.
Yep. And I've got my reports now. I'm just trying to get these downloaded here so I can discuss this with you, and we can share my screen and I'll show you my before and after.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just trying to download it here. I had more samples than you. I want to say maybe 6 or 7 samples total. But then I also had a lot more insane difference in terms of my levels. So your levels were not too bad. Mine were pretty crazy. So that's why I wanted to show these, because I was just amazed. So I was very skeptical, just to kind of educate people on what I did is that we did this enzyme solution that was like $5 a square foot.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally spent $10,000 out of pocket on that, and we got the plates back on it, and the enzyme stuff did work, but the dry fog worked even better, and it's so much cheaper.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let me see if I can get my camera back on me here.
I see you, so I think people should see you too.
Okay, let me just see here. I'll just click over manually, no problem. So in general, yeah, you could see the dry fog is phenomenal because it's a little bit more effective. I mean, I could do my whole entire house. I got a pretty big house, and I was able to do it for about a gallon. I got maybe 6,000 square foot house and change, and 1 gallon was enough to cover it. And I think that's like right around $1,000 ish for 1 gallon of formula. So most people are going to be fine within a gallon or a half a gallon. And it includes the dry fogger, which is really cool. And I paid someone to do it, but I mean, in hindsight, I could have probably done it myself. It wasn't too hard. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. It's not too hard, but I mean, at the same time, you got a kid. You don't want to be in that environment with the kid and potentially breathing it in, because the fog, even though it is safe, it does deplete oxygen from the air. So I think you were better off in your case, in my case, just to hire somebody to do it, because you want to make sure it's done right too. Because see, if the fog wasn't done thick enough, that would be a problem too. So, you definitely did the right thing. Okay, I've got my reports. You want me to share my screen here?
Let's do it, yeah.
All right, so share screen. Okay, so there's you in the middle. So what we're looking at, let me get these even here so we can kind of compare apples to apples. So on the left, you can see all these numbers. So like attic, a bonus room, which was exposed to outside air, so that's obviously going to be higher. But then like a basement storage room, look at this, basement storage, penicillium on the left here, too much to count, too numerous to count. So we had some problems. Look at the kitchen. It was a 44.
Wow.
That's really, really not good. So so let me go down and show you the pictures. Look at how disgusting. So here's the before plates. Okay, and then here's the after. So now we got the kitchen down to a 7, but here's the thing. The 7 sounds bad because you want like 4 or below, but when you look at the kitchen, 3 of it's candida. And so we have a dog bed in the kitchen. So 3 of it's candida. So if you take 2 penicillium, 2 microsporum, really your score is a 4, because you always subtract candida from the total colony number. See? So 7 minus 3, you get your 4. So everything is really a 4. So when you go back up to the top and you look at the numbers here, the C room, I don't remember which room that was, but C room says a 6. So let's go to that one. Mm-hmm. So C room, so that one still could use a little bit of work. See, so C room, only had a 1 candida. So that puts us at a 5, and optimal is 4 or below according to the lab. But let's look at the after pictures. So much better. Now, here's the thing on this first one. You're going to look at this first one, Justin. You're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? So this is something interesting. This plate, I left it out. I didn't ship it soon enough to the lab. So what JW told me is that this is called second stage growth. So this big black thing here, or green thing in the corner, this is the penicillium, which was only like a 1, but then it had babies. So that's the babies.
I see. That makes sense. And then the candida isn't necessarily as bad, because that's more of like a internal kind of mycotoxin than it is like an external environmental one. Is that why?
Well, so the candida is basically like on dog fur. So the candida can just like come off the dog's fur into the air, and then it's in the air. But look at the difference in the pictures. I mean, they're equally disgusting in their own way, but you can tell that you've only got just a couple of species here versus here you had a whole family of just disgusting.
Oh yeah, totally. And I'm just curious, what was the meat? How did they make it grow? Would they shine it under a specific light that caused it to grow?
Oh, you're talking about how did they get this to turn into this?
Yes.
Honestly, it's just time. If you have any extra plates out, or you can order them here, let me stop sharing. I'll come back to you now. So if you just put a plate, like if you have an extra one, you can just leave one out in your kitchen today if you wanted, and then just leave it on your countertop. Just sunlight. It's the media that they use on that plate. It's like a sticky substance. There's something on that makes it grow.
Interesting.
So people that can't afford to do the testing, they can just buy the plates, and then you can just watch the plates grow at your house. And if nothing grows, you're good.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah. So in general, we were able to do some pre and some post to quantify it, which was great. And it wasn't too expensive to actually address the underlying issue. Now, in your situation, it's a little bit more unique, because where I'm at, the climate's a little bit more dry, but where you're at, it's a little bit more humid. So you had some water issues in general, but I think your new house didn't necessarily have any water issues. So talk to everyone about what you did with the dehumidifier to help rectify mold issues that may not be due to a leak.
Right. So if you're at 50% relative humidity or higher, you're going to get mold growth no matter what. And so in the basement, we tested it and we were at around 56% humidity, which is really high relative humidity. And so we put in a whole house dehumidifier. So basically what it is it's a ductwork, you know, about this big around, and it hooks up to your ductwork, and they cut a hole in your ductwork. So they have a return and a supply. So basically what it does is it kind of steals air from your ductwork, pumps it through this dehumidifier, which is basically like kind of like an air conditioning system, really. It's got a compressor and all that in there. It takes the moisture out of the air, and then it pumps that drier air back into your ductwork. Right. Now, this is a whole house system versus, you know, some people, they get like a plug-in dehumidifier, but then you got to drain the bucket of water. This, it's completely hands off. I mean, I would be downstairs draining a dehumidifier bucket every couple hours if I didn't have this system. So this system has a little drain pipe that runs out of it. So it's runs 24/7 or as needed. If it gets it down, the lowest it can go is to 40. So we just leave it set on the lowest, which is 40%. No mold will grow there. And then it drains itself. So, I mean, it's the brand is called April Air. That's the one we did. And so a local, you know, heating and cooling company could install that if someone needed it.
So the benefit of that is you don't have to constantly empty the dehumidifier with all that water, because I mean, God forbid you forgot for a couple of days, you may have a flood down there with all this extra water coming back into the air.
Good. That's the one point. The second point is the ability to remove more air. So a portable dehumidifier is like for one room. You're never going to be able to dehumidify a whole house with a little plug-in job. Just like you can't, you know, with one air, you know, like you and I, we like a couple different brands of air filters. We wouldn't just put one air filter in, assume that's going to take care of the whole house.
Exactly. That totally makes sense.
So that's why you need it, because here's the problem that people don't understand. They're like, okay, well, you know, you and Justin talked about the dry fog. Okay, I'm going to do the dry fog.
Right.
But there's a disclaimer to that, which is that you can't remediate your house if you still have a moisture problem, because if you're at 55, 60% humidity and you do the fog, yeah, you're going to kill all the existing mold and you're going to drop it down, but then it could just come right back. It could just regrow again if you're at 60%.
Exactly. And speaking to JW at the lab, as well as I think it's Jeff Bookout, don't go crazy in your house. If you don't see any active water damage, and or someone's come in with a moisture meter and assess some of the walls in the various areas, and there's no actual active water damage where you can't see anything, don't stress out. It could just be a humidity issue, and then you just need this really good whole house dehumidifier to fix the humidity issue. Does that sound right?
It does, yeah. So, you know, a lot of people, when they see those plates, you know, they may get concerned. So step one is really do plates. I would say step two is get a portable humidity monitor. I just bought one on Amazon, 10, $11, and you can just, you know, take it to a room. Hey, what's my bedroom? My bedroom's 34%. Okay, perfect. You don't have a problem. And then, of course, it wouldn't hurt if you're someone who has been sick. You know, you and I work with a lot of women who they're stay-at-home moms, housewives, so they're home all the time, right? So this is why some people they quit their job, right? Because I'm so tired, I can't work. So they quit their job. Now they're home 99% of the time at a house that's making them sick. So if you have been sick, do the plates. It wouldn't hurt to have like a roofer come by, check your roof, check your attic, make sure there's no water getting in. I mean, the price you pay now for some of this stuff is 5 to 10 times cheaper than if you're so sick and now you're tearing out walls and now you're doing major stuff. I mean, you can fix stuff before it becomes super problematic.
Exactly. Now, a lot of people, if they have a central air system, that may be okay in the summertime because central air is going to dehumidify the house essentially, correct?
It does some, yeah, but in our climate, the central air would not be enough. We need more firepower than what.
Right. So essentially, what I was leading to was the fact that, okay, great, you know, it's no longer the hot months. Let's say it's 50 or 60 degrees out, or even 70 degrees out. That may not be hot enough to have the central air on, but you still have a high level of humidity. So I think where the dehumidifier comes in is when, okay, it's not really hot enough to have the AC on. That's where the dehumidifier matters, because you're not really changing the temperature at all, which the AC will change the temperature and remove humidity at the same time, but you're just focusing on the reduction in humidity. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So even in the winter here, you know, we're running the heat. So theoretically, the heat would dry out the moisture. We were still at 56% humidity. So that tells you in the summer, I mean, it could have been 70, 80. I mean, who knows? I mean, if you look at like average humidity in Kentucky, I mean, outside in the summertime, it's 80, 85% humidity. There's no way you can live here and not have a moisture problem unless you dehumidify. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is really important. So if you're living in an environment, because I have a lot of patients who live in tropical environments too, where they're like, I don't have a water leak, I'm good. But it's like, yeah, humidity's up and you probably need a dehumidifier, maybe even a dehumidifier on top of the AC unit. I mean, I wonder how much, because like with your unit, that's got a separate piping where it gets that moisture out. You probably even need a separate thing if you really live in a tropical climate where there's even higher humidity.
Oh man, you would have to. Like I've had a few clients in Hawaii since all this stuff happened to me, and you and I've been going down this rabbit hole together, and we've tested people in Hawaii. I've had them just buy this little humidity monitor. I mean, we're seeing people's homes at 78%, 76%. It's like, my God, mold forms at 51%. So if you live in Hawaii and you got the beautiful beach house in paradise, it doesn't matter. Now, Jeff, on the podcast we did, he claims that salt water, if your home is being filled with moisture due to salt water, that theoretically it would keep the mold count down. So he says that, once you go 100 miles inland, so the beachfront should be good because it's salt water that's coming into the home through the air, not like lake water. But he says 100 miles inland or 150 miles inland, that's where we would see a band of problems. However, so very interesting. However, I've seen people that have houses on the beach that have mold problems. And even Erin Elizabeth, Dr. Mercola's partner, she's been posting on some of her Facebook pages about her house. So her and Dr. Mercola, notification ding. Her and Dr. Mercola, they live on the beach in Florida, and they've got Stachybotrys. They've got black mold right now.
Yeah,
and they 100%. Live on the beach.
And I guarantee you, and they probably need a dehumidifier as well.
Oh man, so when I talk with Jeff, he's like, yeah, the beach is not a problem, but I've proven that not to be the case. I've proven the beach can be a problem. In these Hawaii houses, you've got no other option but to have dehumidifiers running all the time.
Yeah, we see people in the notes talking about humidifiers. Just make sure it's we differentiate, right? Humidifiers are what we do to add moisture to the air. So in my house, I actually have a whole house humidifier because it gets so dry, like around 10 to 15%. It's just your skin gets super dry because the moisture is so low. So we actually have a humidifier where I am. So just make sure dehumidifier, we're removing moisture. We need high levels of moisture above 50 for mold to grow. We're removing it. Humidifier, we're adding it. So a lot of times, like with infants, they may have drier, sinuses or whatever. We may add humidity to it. And actually, one thing we did is at one point we left the humidifier on too long, and we actually got mold growth in one of the carpets. We had to clean it up and throw it away. So be careful. Even if you have a humidifier on, you really want to make sure the humidity doesn't get too high, because then you can have mold growth.
Good call. Well, especially if that humidifier is like sitting on a nightstand over carpet versus if it were
happened to us. That's what happened. Yeah,
see, because if you had a hardwood under it, or like maybe it were like in a bathroom next to the main room, and the bathroom floor was a tile, maybe that moisture wouldn't do damage or create mold on the tile.
With us, we had hardwood underneath it, so we just picked the carpet up, we rolled it up, and just threw it away, and then just cleaned the wood with a really good citrus solution to kill everything.
Oh, okay. So we had a question from Missy. She was asking, how do you know if the fog is thick enough? You can't see your hand in front of your face, Missy. I was at my house when Jeff fogged it for me, and I laughed so hard because he said, Evan, if you have people ask you how thick does it need to be, it needs to be this thick. So we went down my staircase, and when he stepped off the bottom stair, it looked like he went to another dimension. I mean, I couldn't even see him. He was gone. I'm like, where'd you go?
Yeah. You sent the pictures of the videos. I mean, it was hilarious. Yeah. Technology is so great because, if you topically have mold, though, you want to hit that up. You probably want to hire a professional because some of the solutions are very, very caustic. But if we don't have actual water damage, you can have an easy solution of getting a dehumidifier in the house, and potentially even fogging it yourself wouldn't even be that bad. I know that the Immunolytics guys, they have some pretty good instructional videos walking through everyone how to do it.
It is definitely, this is all do it yourself unless you have damaged materials. Like you said, then you've got to take out walls and put in new drywall or whatever, remove carpet in your case.
And it has to be done. The carpet situation wasn't that big of a deal, but because it was isolated, we knew what it was. But when we had the water damage in the wall, we needed to have the whole entire remediation done in a negative pressure environment because you don't want everything to go systemic. So the negative air pressure keeps everything isolated and pulls it out versus, let's say, sprays it all around.
Yeah, good call. So yes, you could do this stuff yourself. You could hire it all out. I think it really just depends on your budget and it depends on your illness, right? I was so symptomatic. I did not want a chance doing something wrong. I needed my environment. This is my work environment. This is my home environment. I couldn't take any chances because I wouldn't be on this podcast, if I were too sick. So I needed, my health was like number one. So for me, I just hired him. I just like, hey, you got to do it for me. I couldn't take any risks.
Oh yeah, and because we have a lot of home offices, it worked out as a nice business expense, which we're here all the time, so that's good. We're able to utilize that. But people that aren't at home as much, you may not notice an issue as much. I know you did. You work at home, but the fogging is a really good option to do it yourself if you need, which is great.
Here's the thing. Even if someone works outside of the home, right? Like they're a 9 to 5 in a typical office setting, they still sleep at home for 8 to 10 hours at night. So like, even if you're like, oh, well, my house is bad, but I'm out at the office all the time. I work all the time. Well, so what? You're still at the house sleeping for those 8 hours. And we know that mold exposure reduces melatonin production. It reduces nitric oxide production. So you have decreased circulation. I think it may be a contributor to sleep apnea and insomnia and other sleep problems as well. So you can't justify not doing anything because you work outside of the home. You still got to fix it because that's your environment where you're sleeping and where you're trying to rest and recover. Your glymphatic system kicks in and detoxes you, and that all just gets disrupted if you have mold in your bedroom.
Exactly. And I spoke with, I think it was JW and Jeff Bookout. They talked about the more conventional products like the corncrobium, which I spoke with some of the mold remediation guys. Corncrobium is an extract from, I think, olive leaf. And they were talking about it being a little bit more natural, but it seemed like JW from Immunolytics Labs was talking about the fact that it can create some more hyperallergenic metabolites that people could react to. Do you have any insight on that?
I don't. I've just would say that I've had people who said, hey, I've already remediated using that, and they still were symptomatic. But that's all I can tell you is just a couple clients said, yeah, I've already done that. It didn't work. So here's another interesting thing that him and I talked about is when they were mixing all these blends for the fog. I don't know if I told you this already. If I did, I'll tell you again. But when they were trying to come up with the formulation for this stuff, certain ratios of essential oils made the mold problem worse. So they would do a plate, build a supplement, basically fog it, and then retest. And oh my God, the mold is way worse. So then they would tweak it again. Oh, the mold is still worse. And they finally kept tweaking it. And then finally there's the perfect ratio. Boom. Now we see that it actually takes the numbers down, not up.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And then one of the things I want to highlight is they did pre to post testing on the air. So they would do air samples. Mine actually went up higher after the remediation, which is interesting. But the gentleman that did the remediation said my levels were so low pre and post anyway, it wasn't even an issue. But the plate testing showed high in the kitchen and then a significant drop, like I showed you on the testing from, I think, what did I say? 16 to 0 or 19 to 0. So the nice thing about the plate testing, I do feel like they were, they really showed the difference pre and post where the air didn't quite give that range. Even though it went up, it wasn't that big of a deal. And I think from what I understand, because you're sucking air. So I think you can pull more of a general sample. So you could grab one particle or two particles that could increase it, where the plates are just kind of there in a natural environment and they aren't, air's not being pushed upon it more artificially, if you will.
Yeah, I like the idea of having both, the air and the plates. It's kind of like in functional medicine. We're not going to make a whole workup on somebody just based on a stool test, because we could look at a stool test and we could see, hey, they didn't test for candida. So then this person thinks, well, I don't have any candida. But then we get their urinary organic acid test back and we're like, whoa, you have a big candida overgrowth. So it's good to have multiple testing methodologies, and the plates, you can't beat them. They're good bang for your buck.
And in my situation, you could see the mold. Here's the plate. It was high. We addressed it. We treated it, came back, and then it was 100% gone. So it did follow through clinically what we observed.
Yeah, and people talk about like the ERMI test and the EMA, and all these other tests. I just haven't needed them. If the plates, so I kind of take two things into consideration. One is, how do I feel in the environment? If I feel bad, if I feel dizzy, if I feel sick, if I don't sleep well, my symptoms are there. So now did the plates correlate? And if they did, okay, good. And then I fix the plates and then I feel better, right? So I think you could go on and do more of like the Dr. Shoemaker protocols, the ERMI, the EMA. There's a lot of other tests out there that are more expensive. But for me, I just haven't needed to go there.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the plate is they actually send you the picture so you can see how the plate actually looks. So it's not some ethereal, I'm guessing. You can actually see it, which is kind of cool.
I thought it was just like a sample photo. When I first got the report back, I was like, there's no way this is real. I had to call them. I'm like, is this seriously my picture of my plate? Like, yep. I'm like, oh. So it's a very good convincer for people that are skeptics. We have a lot of women that they feel sick, but the husband's not sick. So then the husband thinks you're crazy. Oh, it's not mold. This couldn't do that to you. And then when they see the picture, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, wife, you are correct. This is a problem. Let's fix it. So it's a good convincer at the least.
And I have some patients that are literally spending $100,000 to remediate their house. So I'm so fortunate that we found some methods that are so much more cost effective. Now, if it's tons of visible water damage, for sure, it may cost a little bit more, but we should definitely be able to get it way beneath that. And then even for people that are just, on the borderline, right? If we just fix the humidity aspect and we fog the house, that should be a good solution in general.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this real quick. So if you live in an apartment or a condo or a townhouse or something, then you are at more increased risk of having problems, right? Because let's say you're on a second floor apartment, you've got people above you that maybe their dishwasher overflowed or their toilet leaked or they left their sink on or they let their shower water leak out onto their floor. And then your ceiling is their floor, right? So in that cavity between their floor and your ceiling, there could be water and creating mold above you. And there could be people with a problem below you. With a hotel, it could be a central system where you share all the same air and heating ductwork. So the hotel room 3 doors down could have flooded and that moldy air gets pumped through the whole hotel. So then everybody's sick versus if you had an individual unit in your hotel. So you are at a bigger risk. And when I was in a hotel temporarily, it took me 3 tries to find a hotel room that I could actually sleep soundly. And my wife reported the same thing. So we saw water spots on the ceiling in the hotel. So we asked to move to room 2. And then we went to room 2. I still slept terrible. And then finally we got to room 3. And then I started sleeping and my wife did too. And even our daughter, she was waking up in the middle of the night complaining of a stomach ache. And then she started sleeping through. So it is a trickier situation when it's not like a single family unit. You may have to try a little harder. But would the fog still work in an apartment, condo, townhome? Yes. But, I mean, there may be some extra work where you got to get the landlord or somebody else involved because the guy next door could be messing up your air.
Exactly. So at least in that situation, if it's a hotel room or if it's an apartment and it's smaller, you could probably at least get a personal dehumidifier and you could at least get a personal air filter and you could probably just fog it at least. It wouldn't address the HVAC situation, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, before I went and signed a lease on the place, I would probably, see how I feel. Most people aren't as sensitive as me, so they wouldn't know, hey, I feel bad in this environment. Most people wouldn't pick up on that, but you could always take a plate with you.
Always take a plate with you.
That's
and then
what
you
I did.
get some really high-grade filters too, because the air's moving, but it's got to go through a filter typically to get out or get in. So you could always just upgrade in some really good quality air filters and get them changed frequently to make sure they're good.
Yeah, that'd be a good Band-Aid to keep you afloat. But if I were going to go buy a place or sign a lease on a place, I was kind of in the middle of houses or apartments or whatever, you could buy some plates. You get them either from Immunolytics directly, or I carry them on my site as well. So it's 5 plates at the time of this recording, right now it's $158. That's the lab's price for 5 plates, including your report and a free consult with the laboratory. And if I were going to go buy a place, I would have some plates with me, and I would tell the seller or the realtor I was working with, hey, I've got a sensitivity. I need to make sure this is a clean environment for me. I'm going to put these plates out for 1 hour, so we need to make sure we reserve this house showing for an hour. And then, and then you seal the plates up and then you send them off to the lab. And then the real estate market's kind of aggressive. So you may have to try to hold the house. I don't know if, I don't know how to advise you on that part.
If you like it, you'd bid on it. And then in the option period, you could always pull back. Typically, everyone has a 1-week option period in the US at least. Okay,
good. So if you have the option period, then that'll give you enough time to send your plates back to the lab. And then if the levels are just insane, or we see like Stachybotrys, black mold, we see Mucor. Mucor usually indicates active water leak.
That's the water damage one, Mucor.
Yeah, Mucor. Yeah. So based on the report, you could decide, is this a house I love enough to proceed and fog and remediate? Or is this a house that's so bad there could be undiscovered water damage and leaks and et cetera that you don't want to get into? Because the worst thing that could happen is you pull the trigger on something else, and then that other place makes you sicker than where you're at now.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you just tell the inspector, hey, inspector, let's just really, I would even get a mold remediation person out to really inspect as well if you like the house, and just make sure they bring a good moisture meter to assess everything. And it could just be as simple as, hey, we got to just maybe negotiate an upgrade on a dehumidifier whole house.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah,
and then you fog it.
Put that in your bartering.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anything else you wanted to highlight today on today's topic here, Evan? I think we got a lot of different things addressed.
No, we did great. I don't know what the heck all you went into, so you probably discussed other good stuff before I joined in, but we'll just send people back to the websites if they do want to reach out. We can help talk you through this further. Please reach out to Justin at his site, Justin Health, so justinhealth.com. And you can schedule a consult anywhere around the world. And for me, if you want to reach out, evanbrand.com. And we look forward to talking with you again next week.
And we offer the plate testing as well for all of our patients and people outside of our patient network. Click below to get our links if you want to get some of the plate testing, and then talk to us on the interpretation side of what that looks like. And then the next thing would be if you want to get some of the natural solutions to address some of the mold, the whole house fogging. I even have the laundry detergent. I did all my laundry yesterday in the anti-mold laundry detergent as well, just to be on the safe side. So I just kind of run like one cycle of clothes a month through that, just to be on the safe side.
Yep, that's what we're doing too.
Yep, and we're going to have the links below. So if you guys want to get any of those products or support the show, we appreciate it. We want to give you guys as many tools as possible so you guys can live an optimal life and have optimal energy and focus and be pain-free. We appreciate you guys being part of the podcast. Thumbs up, give us a like, give us comments down below. We really appreciate you guys being a part of the show.
Take care. See you later.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to beyondwellnessradio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.